I want to first say thank you to our youth. Many of them are in the balcony this morning, but I want to thank them for leading our worship services last Sunday. They did a great job. And also to our seniors who brought the messages last Sunday. I want them to know that you will be missed and you are loved and supported by this church, and we are excited for your next chapter of life, college and beyond, but know that you always have a home here at Woodmont, and we appreciate the messages you brought, and we're proud of you. During the month of May, we have been in a sermon series called Matters of the Heart, and if you remember, I began this series by talking about a pain that I had in my heart about 7 years ago before I got married and had to go to the doctor to get it checked out and had to go to the cardiologist, and it turned out that it was nothing. But just like you have to pay attention to your physical body, your physical heart, you also must pay attention to your spiritual life, your spiritual heart. And so we've been talking about things that we need to overcome in order to be spiritually healthy. These are things that we deal with on a regular basis because we are human. These are things that we have to confront and face. So first we talked about fear and anxiety, and how our culture seems to be full of fear. People are afraid. People are scared. And many don't know what they're afraid of. They're just afraid. But fear and anxiety has become, I think, a major spiritual problem in our age. It keeps people from being able to live in the present. It keeps them on edge. It keeps them restless. A few weeks ago, on Mother's Day, we talked about stress and anger, which was very relevant for Mother's Day. Stress often leads to anger, and we all experience anger. It's part of being human. So the question is not, will we experience anger? The question is, how will we channel our anger? What will we do with it? How do we process it? And we said that the only true Christian remedy for anger is forgiveness. And we're really good at talking about forgiveness, but we're not always very good at actually forgiving. Letting it go, leaving it behind, not letting other people control our lives. And so today we're going to finish this series by talking about ingratitude and envy, which, by the way, are closely related topics. Luke tells us a story. Jesus was traveling to Jerusalem in the region between Samaria and Galilee. And as he enters a village, he encounters 10 lepers. And they call out to Jesus saying, "Master, have mercy on us." And Jesus sees them and he says, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." And they did, and they were made clean. Now keep in mind that leprosy in that day made you an outcast. People who had leprosy had to live outside of the village. They couldn't be in close proximity to the other people out of fear that their leprosy was contagious and other people would catch it. So they were outcasts. They were marginalized people. So Jesus heals these 10 lepers and he changes their lives. But only one of them, the Samaritan, the foreigner, as the text tells us, after he realizes he has been healed, comes back to thank Jesus. And so Jesus asked the question, were not 10 made clean? The other 9, where are they? Jesus is raising the question of ingratitude. Why did only one come back to say thank you and to praise God? Ingratitude has become a major problem in our world today because people, for whatever reason, feel entitled. We take our blessings for granted. The basic blessings in our lives, our health, our family, our church, our job, our friends, our homes, food, water, clothing, shelter, we take these things for granted. But not only do we take these things for granted, we are never satisfied. We always want more. We always want bigger and better. And this is often related to envy. We want more because we see what others have, and so we want that. We see that somebody else has a nicer house, or a nicer car, or a better job, or a better life, and we feel inadequate. We become envious, and this becomes a spiritual problem. It becomes a matter of the heart. We're having a discussion in our men's Bible study this week about the American dream. What is the American dream? How would you answer that question? Is the American dream a white picket fence with kids playing in the yard? Is the American dream just simply giving your children a better life than you had growing up? Is the American dream just the opportunity for upward mobility and prosperity and economic security? What is it? How would you define it? It gets talked about a lot, but what is it? I've always said that if you had to sum up the American dream with one word, that word might be more. We want more. We're very hard to please. We're restless and we're never satisfied. We see what everybody else has and we want more. It's a competitive culture that's wired to want more. But have you ever noticed that many of the people that we claim as our spiritual leaders, priests, monks, nuns, that they've decided to shun all of that? They've made an intentional decision to just go live simply and to focus on the basic blessings of life because they understand the pitfalls of always wanting more. It never ends. There's so many scriptures in the Bible that talk about gratitude, talk about thanksgiving, thankfulness. You can't study the Bible and ignore these texts. Psalm 100. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks and bless his name, for the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations. Psalm 118, this is the day that the Lord has made, so let us rejoice and be glad in it. James 1 says, every generous act of giving with every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights. And then our reading from Philippians this morning, chapter 4, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. Do not worry about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. You know, we know these verses. We've read these verses. We've heard these verses. But so often we fail to be thankful. Maybe it's because we live in a culture that tells us that enough is never enough. Maybe it's because we are constantly bombarded with advertisements telling us what we deserve. It's a world of instant gratification. It's a world of get it now and pay for it later. Or get it now and figure out how to pay for it later. Get it now, even if you can't pay for it later. It's a world that says you deserve more than what you have right now. And we say, yeah, you know what? That's right, I do. It's a world of social media where we are always looking at what others have and what others are doing. And we say, why can't my life be more like that? And what happens is we overlook and we take for granted the basic blessings that we have in our lives right now. The ones that are right before us. Andy Stanley talks about jealousy and envy in his book that I've mentioned before, Enemies of the Heart. And he says this, there'll always be someone who's richer, skinnier, more talented, better connected, or just plain luckier than you. In fact, let me tell you a side story, something that happened this week. On Friday, my children came up to my office when they got out of school at 2:30, like they often do. And Montgomery ran in and she told me a story. She said, there's a little girl in my class, won't repeat her name, but she said, I told her that my daddy was the preacher of this church, and she told me, your daddy is chubby. And I said, it's a good thing school is out right now. How do you respond to that? Back to Andy Stanley. He says, there will always be someone who's richer, skinnier, more talented, better connected, or just plain luckier than you. And until you find a way to deal with your jealous heart, you'll be unable to follow the most basic of all Christian tenets. Love one another. He says envy is a powerful force that can wreak irreparable damage on any relationship or any organization. So once we know that, how do we deal with it? We all experience envy. We all see things that we want, that we wish we had. We can start by counting our blessings. We can stop looking to see what other people have that we don't, and we can start being thankful for what we do have. Not only do we have to be thankful, but we also have to express our gratitude. We have to tell the people who are in our lives that we appreciate them and that we love them and that we are thankful for them, that we don't take them for granted. There's one truth that cannot be argued. We get to choose our focus in life. We get to choose what we will spend our time and our energy thinking about. What does Paul write to the Philippians? Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence and if there is anything worthy of praise, then think about these things. Make up your mind right now that you're going to do everything in your power to focus on the good in life. That you're going to give thanks to God for all that you have rather than just dwelling on what you don't have. That you're going to look for the good in other people and not just for what's wrong, because we all have our flaws and we all have our shortcomings and we all have our problems. The world does not need any more negative, pessimistic people. We don't need any more people telling us what's wrong. We need people who can focus on the good and lift it up. And if for some reason you hang out with people that are always negative, then go get some new friends. Life's too short for that. Negativity and pessimism can smother the human spirit. It can suck the joy out of life in a heartbeat. And gratitude is not just something that we have, it's something that we have to express. And so I'm going to close the sermon this morning by doing that. There's somebody who has served this church for almost 9 years. He started when I started back in the summer of 2007. First he was an intern, then he became our children's minister, then he headed up the Bridge, our contemporary service, when it started, and he became the primary preacher for that service. And now he served as our youth minister for the past 3 years, ministering to many of the same kids that he had when he was the children's minister, and he's watched them grow up over the years. He's cast a great vision, he's built a great program, and we owe him a lot for all that he's done at Woodmont. Trey has been called to serve as senior minister of Downey Avenue Christian Church in Indianapolis. It's one of our historic churches in our denomination, and he's going to begin that position in July. And so today is his final Sunday here at Woodmont. Trey, we want you to know that we are grateful for everything that you have done and for everything that you have meant and will continue to mean to this church. For the guidance, that you have given our youth and our children, for your leadership and your passion and your commitment to ministry. And we have absolutely no doubt that you will move on to do great things in Indianapolis. And so now I'd like to ask if you would join with me in expressing our gratitude to Trey Flowers.
I'm going to start my gratitude here by thanking Clay for making me cry right before I have to come up here. Words cannot express what this moment means to me and to Marilyn both. I will do my best here for a few moments, but I remember so clearly exactly where I was in the summer of 2007 when an old friend called me and said, I have been asked to serve as the senior minister at Woodmont Christian Church, and I would love for you to come serve as an intern. And when Clay called me and asked me that, I was quite mindful of the fact that I had just rolled off the TCU meal plan and I probably should have some kind of paycheck. So I took the job, having no idea how much it would change my life, how much it would grow into, and how much it would mean to me. Almost 9 years later, nearly a third of my life and half of most of your lives up there, I have stood in constant awe of the love and compassion of this congregation that never ceases to amaze me and surprise me. You have loved me into ministry with patience and grace. You have been there, and you will always hold a special place in my heart. The church where I not only began ministry, but was ordained here on these steps and married right here on these steps. The church community that helped me survive an earthquake, gave me the chance to help launch the bridge among some dear friends. The church where I was so blessed to witness an amazing group of students grow from little kids into amazing, talented, and inspiring youth. As Marilyn and I leave this place, I still have like 30 minutes left. It's okay. But as we leave this place and head out for Indianapolis, I'm reminded of those great words of lasting, transcendent wisdom from Winnie the Pooh. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. How lucky I am to have been part of this community that makes today so hard. I cannot adequately convey how much this ministry together has meant. But I do want to say to this congregation, thank you, thank you, thank you for your endless love and support along the way. For being open to new ideas, sometimes crazy ideas, and often ideas much more expensive and timely than I thought they would be. For giving me opportunities to explore what kind of minister I am called to be. To all of the volunteers, to all the Sunday school teachers, the VBS leaders, the youth sponsors, the creative team members. Nothing that I have done here would have been possible without you. Thank you for that. To the Bridge community, I want to say I'm sorry for some of those quite boring sermons early on as I was getting started. But it has been a true blessing to help build something that is really special to me and will always have a special place in my heart. To the parents of our students, thank you for your trust to be there with your amazing students and allowing me to walk alongside them in some of the most incredible moments of my life. And to the youth and the children of this church, I hope that you have no doubt that I love you, and that I always will. And that even as we are separated, God's love still holds us together. You have challenged me along the way in a lot of different ways, but challenged me in the best of ways as well. To think about God in new ways that I had never thought of. Given me joy and hope and faith and confidence, not just in the future of the church, but who you are right now. To my colleagues, fellow staff, you'll never know how much this team has meant to me. I'm grateful for you. And as hard as this transition is for us, it has made just the slightest bit easier knowing that these people whom I so dearly love are in your trusting and caring hands. Thank you, especially Katie up there. And though I wish I could thank every person in this congregation who's meant so much to me, I know that some of you have lunch and dinner plans, and I won't keep you here that long. But I do want to say a special word of thanks in particular to two people, to Clay Stauffer, who not only brought me here, but has been a friend well before I ever came here. Remember when I was in middle school and Clay was a senior in high school as the leader of our youth group, and just watching him and saying, that is someone I would love to be. And that call and invitation to be here means so much to me. And I also want to say to Marilyn, my darling wife, that I love you, that you make me better. You are the best part of who I am, and your love shows me God's unconditional love every single day of my life, and that's an incredible blessing. Thank you for your steadfast support, pushing me to be my best, being patient with me when I'm not. And your ministry here in Nashville has changed more lives than you'll ever know, and I am so proud of that, and I know that it's changed mine most of all. Woodmont Christian Church, I will always love you. And you changed my idea of ministry many times along the way, but especially in 2010 as we were in Haiti during that earthquake. And all of a sudden, everything that I had learned in school with Mark and so many other people that I love at Vanderbilt started to translate to something that was more than something that you do as a minister. It's something that you need as a minister. Being there in the middle of that destruction and knowing that this community was surrounding us with love and support, that we could come back from Port-au-Prince to find you all here, to find our family. They are ready to raise money to make a difference in the lives of people there, to be there for our group to help us process that. You showed me the best of who you are, and I believe the best of who God is in that experience. I want to close by briefly saying that for many years, even before I came to Woodmont, but especially when I was at Woodmont, I always have cried on Youth Sunday when the youth sing that song that Tom Schuyler wrote, Take a Little With You When You Go. I've always cried when I heard that song. And this year, for some strange reason, I didn't. And I felt kind of bad about it. I felt like this year was probably the year I should really be crying, but I don't know if I was just trying to be tough. But at some point this week, it hit me that farewell is not really goodbye in the life of a church. That those words, take a little with you, are exactly right. That I take a little bit of this congregation that makes me who I am, and in fact, I take a lot of it. So thank you for that. And knowing that those words are more true for me now than ever gives me hope and strength. Marilyn and I will miss each of you tremendously. But it is through that shared faith that I have no doubt God's Spirit will continue to connect us, to encourage us from afar, as Woodmont and Downey Avenue both seek to build the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. We are forever grateful for your friendship, for your ministry, and for your continued prayers during this important transition. May God continue to bless you, our Woodmont family, forever. And may you continue to pass on that blessing to change lives, just as you have changed ours forever. Thank you. We love you.